One of the biggest misconceptions about growth and success is that you need to make massive changes in your life to make these things happen. This impression is instilled in us by thousands of videos and articles going over people's morning routines or habits and discussing why they're so crucial and why we should have all of these specific habits in order to get those results. We particularly emphasize them for individuals who are worth billions or millions of dollars. But as I've talked about in a previous video, following precise routines or having the right kind of habits according to these gurus isn't everything to living and being successful. Instead, what I suggest is something a little unconventional, which I will be getting into in just a moment. It's a strategy that can dramatically change your life if you're willing to go through with it and consistently practice it. It's called micro habits. Basically, these are small habits that on the surface seemingly do very little, but have ripple effects throughout our lives and can affect us in so many different ways. And what's nice about these things is that they're generally pretty easy to implement in your daily life. There are hundreds that I could be talking about, but I want to be focusing on 7 of my favorite ones, as they've helped me with improving my life, but little by little, and some I've practiced for years and I continue to reap the benefits from. So let's talk about that. My sleep schedule hasn't normally been an issue for as long as I can remember, and I'm blessed with that because of this specific micro habit. At this stage, it's more of an ingrained belief and how I approach sleep, but it's as simple as this. When you are awake, you do not go back to sleep unless your sleep was disrupted heavily. What this means for me is as long as I've gotten between 5 to 8 hours of sleep, I don't go back to sleep unless my body really wants me to. I need it! Normally it does that in cases where I sleep for 5 hours, but sometimes it's fine working that way because my body at this point in time is kind of weird and just tells me, hey, you've had 5 hours, you can wake up now. And sometimes I sleep for much longer. Due to hustle culture or other life situations, I do understand why sleep schedules for most people are not great and are difficult to make changes to. But I'd still argue that something like this can be a good mentality to have because it prevents us from oversleeping or hitting the snooze button on our alarms, which can make a big difference because those habits are more detrimental than we actually realize. Hitting the snooze button for 10 more minutes of sleep doesn't really change all that much when our body, in order to do the functioning stuff in our sleep, requires several hours. So really sleeping in for 10 minutes is really just doing a disservice for you. So getting into the headspace of just waking up and starting your day as soon as you are awake can make a real difference here. How that looks can vary from just making coffee, tea, or drinking some water as soon as you wake up, or putting your alarm far away from your bed. Really just whatever you need to do to get yourself to roll out of bed and start your day is really what helps with this whole thing. And getting into the mindset of this kind of sleep, kind of approach for sleep just is a nudge in that kind of direction. Another nice little follow-up of a micro habit is just making your bed. I used to be guilty of not doing this as a teenager for obvious reasons, but I found that as I got older that making your bed as soon as you wake up adds a sense of clarity and order and organization to you, and it can impact your life in a positive way if you try to do this. In the case of making your own bed as soon as you wake up, this teaches some level of discipline and organization and order. The sense of cleanliness can help you with focusing and overall expectations we have with the spaces that we use. And those skills are quite transferable to a variety of different things in our own lives. A made bed can translate to a clean desk. which can in turn make you less distracted while you're working and helping you with entering into a flow state for more productivity, for example. As I talked about in my discipline video, there's no direct path for you to develop self-discipline, and so these unconventional methods can instill that kind of sentiment without really trying to do so. And if you allow that habit can really change your attitude and approach to various concepts and how you go about your day and life. As someone who runs their entire business on to-do lists, I'm well aware that there is a science to them and that they are incredibly powerful. Powerful in that it can keep you on task and also provide you with the next steps that you want to be focusing.
As a matter of fact, there is. Look at your men, now back to me. Now look back at your men, back to me.
Furthermore, depending on the scope of the list, it can help you with spacing out your overall workload too. The key to making to-do list work effectively is making the items on the list engaging for you in multiple ways. The tasks on the list should be things that are fun and speak to your specific values in your life. These tasks should also be the things that you want to do, as people tend to overextend these lists to include every minor task like picking up the kids from school or from soccer practice, or washing the dishes or cleaning the house. Even though those are very important things, they don't necessarily need to be on your to-do list and can just feed into a dopamine addiction rather than something that's actually helping you improve your life and change you in a positive way. This gives you more control over time, as this can help you figure out whether pursuing a particular goal or achievement is actually worth it, and also if it's something that you want, or if it's just some random idea that some self-help guru injected in you, or some other coworker, or some other big hotshot that you look up to. This really helps you with having a more clear mind and focusing on what's actually practical and sustainable for you in your own life, rather than wishful thinking and having an unhealthy obsession over something that's really not worth your time. I'm guilty of not doing enough of this, but I also get it. When you get into a nice flow state or get really lost in your own work, it can be hard to forget to pause.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Editing Eric here, and I meant to say hard to remember to drink water and do that. Yeah, that's what I meant. Ugh, my brain. Sometimes. However, making that change can be a huge difference maker, as I've been reminded plenty of times before. And it's still one of my favorites because of how helpful it is for me as a writer. Not only do we need water to live, of course, but there is ample of research that proves that dehydration can lead to forgetfulness, fatigue, trouble concentrating, and even affects our own mood. So really just all things that really impact a writer and their creative abilities here, which is what I do. Because of this, a lot of people tend to encourage drinking 8 glasses of water every single day. However, I would consider that as a general guideline than the universal rule to be following.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
Science has really come a long way since that wisdom, and we realize that based on our lifestyle, health conditions, whether we're pregnant, and weather conditions, how much water we actually need varies from day to day. But broadly speaking, drinking water and trying to get close to that 8 glasses or 2.7 liters of water per day is just a good rule of thumb here. Beyond that, you can also cheat the system in a variety of creative ways, such as drinking tea or coffee. There's also, of course, fruits and vegetables, like watermelon, cucumber, strawberries, and celery that also have water in them that can count towards your water intake. Essentially, what this micro habit is all about is reminding you to be taking water breaks, or to have a healthy snack, and to pull away from your work or whatever it is that you're doing to do something that's kind of helpful and nice for you. How you go about that is really up to you. You can set some reminders on your phone to drink some water or take a break, or you could do what I have been doing, where I have a water bottle that lights up whenever I am low on water, and need a water break. The company that makes those particular water bottles is called Hydrate Spark. They make these really high quality water bottles, and there's an app as well that goes with it to remind you, and sends push notifications to remind you to take water breaks whenever you are low on water or trailing behind. So it's really just a handy tool for me, and it's just a good habit to get into. Another really good micro habit to be getting yourself into is having small exercise sessions. I know I'm probably not the best person to be talking about this kind of thing for obvious reasons, but I do enjoy exercising, and I do understand that getting around to it can be pretty difficult sometimes. Not to mention, not every single person is in the mood to getting into the gym, which is why I propose something like this.
Well, what does that have to do with it?
No, he's got a point.
Having some small exercises can really make a huge difference for you for a variety of reasons. Whether you're doing 10 to 30 minutes of high-intensity interval training, to yoga sessions, or a simple stretch break, generally moving around is pretty good for you. And having some reminders and getting into that headspace of moving around and exercising at least a little bit is good. I, at the very least, get out of my chair and stretch a little bit, which is better than just sitting in this chair that I'm in for very long periods of time. Doing more than that, of course, is really good, as exercise overall improves blood circulation, prevents injuries, and keeps us alive for longer, which I have heard is a pretty good thing to do. And if you're like me, who struggles with going to the gym on a regular basis, something like this can be a big difference maker, especially if you can do this with someone else, which is what I'm planning on doing. That will help me with getting along on my weight loss journey. Another habit that can pair well with waking up when you roll out of bed is getting outside to get some fresh air or sunlight. The reason is that it signals to our brain that it's time to get up and to get ready for the day. Whether you are going for a quick walk or run in the morning, or just to get some sunlight in general through the window, getting into the headspace of looking outdoors is just great for us in general, especially given that a lot of our lives is looking at screens for most of the time. Giving our eyes just a little break from that is first thing in the morning. It can really pair up well with just walking, stretching, or anything else that has nothing to do with looking at a screen. And some of those kinds of ripple effects can really affect just how we engage with technology overall and how it's integrated into our own lives. Just getting some fresh air and reminding ourselves to not look at a screen for the first half hour of our day can really make a difference. And the final favorite micro habit of mine is to get into the right headspace with something uplifting. I personally have a feed on Blue Sky that has nothing but positive vibes and cheerfulness. Other things that you can do is just chatting with a friend or listening to an interesting podcast. Whatever the case may be, just let it be something moving and interesting and joyful and whimsical for you. The reason for this is pretty simple. The world sucks a lot right now, and it's easy for us to get caught up in the cycle of all of that stuff. It's easy for us to dive into the rabbit hole of negative news cycles or conspiracy theories or the enshittification of our favorite things or drama in general, and we can feel just a sense of overwhelmingness, helplessness, or powerlessness to do anything is really paralyzing. And so just getting yourself to just ignore all that for just a moment and to focus on something that you're passionate about or that sparks joy or inspiration is like a little act of rebellion against all of that.
Things are going to get much better.
Because consuming positive content deep down really isn't a denial of the bad things that are happening right now, although, of course, it certainly can be, which is why toxic positivity is a thing. But A moderate use of it is just an act of defiance, a sense of self-control, and even self-discipline, that you're able to forego your impulses and do something else. And when you're ready to engage with that negativity or whatever other thing that you're trying to do, you just have a clearer mind about what it is that you're engaging with and can process it better. And that's pretty powerful these days, as I know for myself this has helped me a lot with dealing with negative comments, especially since I used to defend myself for very extensively early on in my YouTube career whenever I got some criticism. And it's also really helped me a lot when consuming American or Canadian politics as well. I have just a clearer mind about these kinds of things, and I don't get sucked into all of the fear and hatred and anger that can stem from a place like that. And I just have an overall healthier relationship with that kind of content and with just negativity in general, because I've allowed myself to just feel joy once in a while. As you can clearly tell, these habits are not groundbreaking or revolutionary in any kind of way. However, their effects can stretch well beyond just the specific niche use that I was talking about. As long as you're willing to commit to micro habits, whether it's these ones or the hundreds of other ones that are out there, all of these small habits and adjustments can add up to really great things. They have the capability of dramatically improving your life for the better. So try them out, build that momentum. And if you happen to fail with implementing them, then treat it like any other habit and try again until you get that habit to stick. Before too long, you'll be moving in that direction that you want to go in, all because of some slight adjustments that you've made to your life right now. Thank you guys so much for watching the entirety of this video. It would really mean a lot to me if you pressed on the like button, and also to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. I love you guys.